Now my training routine is over. I'm going home and I feel like it's time to wrap up my previous videos, my several previous videos about education and science and generations of people, and also this today's video from the center of my training routine about rules of grammar being just an unnecessary obstacle in a way of learning, in the ways of on the path of many students. Many rules are just, are just making their life harder without contributing much. By the way, these are buildings in Korolev. That's no, you cannot see it from here, but there is a famous avenue here in Korolev of cosmonauts, the Avenue of Cosmonauts, one of the biggest streets here. So my first video was about science and how it is usually compared to religion, how people say that science is about knowledge and religion is about believing blindly in whatever you are told by the authority. In fact, science is actually based on the lack of knowledge. If you want to know what I mean by that, you should watch that video. I don't want to repeat a lot. Sometimes in Russia there are so many tough people. You just get scared. You don't want to film them. People in Russia are tough in general, but people who are considered tough in Russia are considerably tougher than other Russians. So you just can try to imagine how tough they are in comparison with usual people from other countries. But anyway, that was why I stopped filming, why I stopped talking. Okay, so I will just try to find a quiet place for explaining my videos. And so another video was dedicated to this building and its peculiar fate. This building is created by a huge explosion underneath a pond full of clay at the bottom, and that clay was separated by the flows of gas, and the pressure and temperature inside that burning cloud of gas was so uniform because the expansion was so fast after the huge buildup of pressure underneath the very heavy, obviously you can see how big it is. So underneath the very heavy bottom of that pond, which was a clay bottom, and all those bricks were formed by that explosion. Pieces of clay became dry and they were burnt to become bricks, and under the force of gravity they all fell down. And we have the explanation why they are all the same, but still we don't have the scientific explanation why they all fell on the same side, on the biggest side. Anyway, this is obviously, if you know anything about physics and cosmology, this is a parody on a Big Bang theory. This world is a masterpiece. It is made. It's not some, some strange consequence of explosion. It is made, and it is made so that people could live in it and learn a couple of lessons during their life. What else? I say a lot, as you could notice. So now people are building another building there, that house, big house. In Korolev it is called the Parade of Planets. It looks like a hive of bees. So when we look at this building, we immediately see that it was made, it was created by some intelligent beings. But when we look at the hive of bees, suddenly we suggest that it was just a natural occurrence and some strange consequence of the Big Bang, of the big explosion. Well, I don't buy it. Not anymore, at least. For the last 20 years I don't buy it. 20 years ago I stopped to be an atheist, or maybe a little more. And look at that forest. What can you do in winter in the forest in Russia if there were no buildings around? You can die miserably. That's all. But we have houses because they are made for us and we can live in them. And if you look at the universe, it's so harsh. People dream of going to Mars, and it's not going to happen. Radiation is too harsh. You will develop some disease, lethal disease, during that flight. So what else? There was a video about preparation for life. Obviously, look at that forest. You don't know where your kid will end up in his or her life. They can end up in the forest. As many people in Russia in the 20th century, they were sent to Siberia or even further, and they were forced to chop trees and split wood. And many of them were not prepared, were completely unprepared. Many of them died there, but some of them were prepared. It was very harsh. They had little food, and many of them died, but some of them were prepared for that. Peasants, people who lived in villages, in the countryside, they were prepared for that. They knew how to work physically, how to work hard, and they survived. Many of them survived, and at least they were productive in that period of their life. They were not just dying, they were doing something meaningful. So how do you prepare your kid for whatever circumstances he or she might face in their life? And languages is the answer. You must teach them some very general notions, where very general education should be provided for kids today, because we don't know, we don't have any idea what kind of life they will live in maybe post-nuclear zombie apocalypses, I don't know. So you have to provide them with a strength of character and many very general properties of the soul, not some particular knowledge. And as for knowledge, language is one lucky exception. If you can speak another language, you will always, almost always, you will be in demand. People will like to be around you. People are speaking that language, obviously, and they will need you. And if you can teach well that language, you are prepared for life, because you can always find a job. It's not like artificial intelligence is replacing human interpreters anytime soon. It's too hard for artificial intelligence to provide a good translation. Or so next video was about waves and generations of people, and all the generations, as I said, all the generations, they go one after another and they all hit the same shore. So that's how you know one thing that you can know, that you definitely are able to know about your kid's future. Of course, you haven't been there yet if you are watching this video, but maybe your grandparents are already there, and you know where we all go. And atheistic scientists say, oh, they will just die, and their material body will decompose, and that's it. No. This world is an especially designed and made and built school for people. And what's the point in teaching them, in giving them, in providing them with so much information, if they all just perish and cease to exist? Doesn't make no sense. If someone is so advanced to create this, these trees, this soil, if you gather all the scientists in the world, they will never produce 1 milligram of natural soil, artificially, from nothing. That's how advanced this stuff is. It can support life. It can support intelligent life on our planet. And our scientists, however advanced they are, they usually produce something that just kills animals and plants. So there is no death for the soul. There is no death for the mind. There is no death for information even. Try to erase the times table. 2 times 2 is 4. Write it on a piece of paper and burn that piece of paper. Will 2 by 2 cease to be 4? Will that statement become false if you erase the material carrier of that information? No, it will not. It will not, disappear. Still 2 by 2 will be 4. So if you cannot erase, if you cannot delete even one piece, one simple idea like that, one statement, not very important, by the way, how do they hope that so much information will be erased by the physical bodies of those people being decomposed? No, it is not going to happen. So you know where your children go. And though you haven't been there, You should prepare yourself first, and your children too. So you have to look for some teachers who knew something that is more than how to live your life here on this planet. You must seek for people who knew something that exceeds, immensely exceeds the knowledge and wisdom of one generation. And that's religion, of course. So that's why people who are reasonable, they usually turn to religion, especially in their senior period of life, when they are smarter finally, and kind of learned a couple of things about life. Okay, and the last video, as I remember, was about rules in English, rules in grammar rules in languages, that sometimes they are just obstacles in the way. And the same is so true for the whole system of education today. People just force so many unnecessary rules on children and on young adults and on older people as well, on PhD, on postdoctors, on professors. So many rules in our educational system are just blocking the natural way of education and doing nothing else. And everyone who is educating himself or herself, they all go that natural way anyway. They just have to overstep that obstacle, those obstacles actually, because there are many obstacles. And I hope that Russia will play a significant role here, that Russia will be the leading part of the world in this radical change in the educational system. We should abandon this stupidity when science is put in opposition to religion, and people try to convince themselves that they are just mortals and they will cease to exist when they die. And so, the whole educational process has therefore no meaning at all. There is no purpose. They all will die. All the children in your class will die. What are you teaching them for? What are you teaching them for if they all are going to die? And some of them probably will die just after your lesson. Car accident. It happens all the time. Or some disease. You go home and the crying mother calls you and say, "Oh, my son, he is sick." And doctors say he's going to die. And you kind of scratch your head and think, "Oh, why? Why on earth? I taught him English grammar today." What that was for? Why on earth I tried to force this distinction between going to and will on that young boy, instead of teaching him something meaningful, at least during one of my lessons. So that's it, maybe. That's it, maybe. You can wrap up this whole series of videos for yourself, and if you want, leave five statement, in 5 statements, the gist of this series, the gist of these videos, and especially of what I said today. This is kind of the conclusion of many videos, so maybe today is the day when you finally understand why all these separate videos on different topics, how they are related to each other. And the last sentence, the last statement in that five should be the final conclusion. Don't make it too long, maybe just 70 words, not more than 70 words, in a sentence. And ask a question, and ask 2 questions, at least 2 questions, please. That's your homework assignment. Of course you can ask more, or you can just say that I'm a stupid old man, and that's it. I accept any response. I will be grateful, because I am an English teacher, and one of the best in Russia. I regard myself sorry, not very humble on my part, but it's not my words, it's a certificate from Cambridge. They say that I am a competent teacher of English to to non-English, non-native speakers. So not many teachers in Russia have this certificate, so I kind of have a paper to prove my capabilities. Which is so funny. I have to show a piece of paper to prove that I'm a teacher. What? How is it possible? If I'm an athlete, I just do what I can, and everyone understands that. Yeah, he's an athlete. If I'm a good master of any other skill, I just do it, and people gladly pay me for it. So of course there are many parts of our life that are unnecessary formalized, but educational system is one of the most formalized thing. They all cover their body parts, very, very bureaucratic system. They protect their skin, as we say in Russia. They protect their skin. Because basically they don't do what they have to do, what they must do. They must prepare children for the real life, and they cannot. They are not prepared themselves. How can they prepare anyone else? And they are not allowed to learn from really wise people who were prepared and who knew where they were going and how to go there and how to get to the right place at the end of the road, and how to overcome every obstacle in the way. As you remember, I started today with the obstacle on the path. So that's it for today. It's too long probably already, but if you are genuinely interested, just hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And leave a comment with the gist, 5 sentences gist of this talk, and with the last sentence as a final conclusion. and also 2 questions to me. That's it. Thank you very much. The parade of planets behind me. It's not ready yet. It's just being built. But there's a plan. There's some plan behind it.